bienvenidos a un nuevo programa de Liceo Radio. Hoy tendremos el placer de recibir a una profesional del ámbito cinematográfico, Beatriz Sequeira. Para comenzar, tenemos que decir que Beatriz es antigua alumna del Liceo Europeo. Ella cursó sus estudios aquí y una vez finalizados estudió Comunicación Audiovisual en la Universidad Complutense de Madrid. Ya en la facultad realizó sus primeros trabajos en películas como Sin noticias de Dios o Nadie hablará de nosotras cuando hayamos muerto. Tras su paso por la universidad, en el año 2001, Beatriz se desplaza a Los Ángeles para realizar un máster de producción de cine en el American Film Institute y es a partir de este momento cuando comienza su actividad cinematográfica con directores de la talla de Philip Noyce, en películas como Juego de Patriotas. Sus últimos trabajos están relacionados con la superproducción de héroes de Marvel, The Amazing Spider-Man, la parte primera y la segunda, ya que Beatriz comenzó a trabajar con Mark Webb y actualmente es una de las productoras asociadas de la segunda parte. En el programa de hoy también contaremos con la colaboración de un grupo de alumnos de cuarto y secundaria que mantendrán una conversación con ella y le plantearán todo tipo de dudas y preguntas sobre su interesante trayectoria profesional. En unos segundos comenzamos. Buenos días, Beatriz.
Hola,
¿Qué tal? Lo primero, agradecerte que nos hayas dedicado tu tiempo y hacer un hueco en tu agenda. ¿Porque estás en Madrid de paso o has venido a quedarte un tiempo?
He venido a quedarme 2 meses porque acabo de tener una niña.
Anda,
he hecho la postproducción de Spider-Man embarazada. Y entonces ahora tengo un poco de tiempo libre y he querido venir aquí a que la niña estuviera en Madrid.
Muy bien. Bueno, antes de darte paso a vuestra charla con los alumnos, quería hacerte una pregunta que no la puedo evitar y es: cuando has vuelto a tu colegio, al Liceo Europeo, ¿qué has sentido? ¿Qué recuerdos? ¿Qué cambios has notado?
Bueno, estaba intentando acordarme la última vez que estuve aquí, porque yo terminé en el 95, pues hace lo que hace. Pero yo estuve aquí, me parece que 2 años después, una cosa así, pero está igual y totalmente cambiada a la vez, ¿no? La bajada ha sido, dice, nosotros teníamos una granja y ahora hay unas pistas de pádel. He dado una conferencia en el gimnasio donde había una huerta, pero en el fondo está igual. Y lo que es muy curioso es ver a Gonzalo, que fue compañero mío desde pequeña, vamos, toda la vida. Pero para mí el liceo ha sido importantísimo. Bueno, aparte de haber estado aquí toda mi vida escolar, yo sigo teniendo las mismas amigas que desde primero de GB, desde los 5 años, que además las vi ayer, nos seguimos viendo siempre, sí.
¿Y algún profesor?
Sí, aquí. Sí. Bueno, Geraldine, que fue profesora mía casi 10 años, yo creo, y Antonio del Pozo, he visto a Quintina también, que no fue profesora mía, pero Eduardo sí. Eloy le he visto entrar un segundo, y Paulino, que llevaba mi ruta. Y no sé quién más, no sé si hay alguien más que está aquí, me parece que siguen Lourdes y Pepe, pero no los he visto, pero vamos, sí.
Bueno, contenta.
Y Palma, que no la he visto tampoco, pero
contenta de volver.
Sí, bueno, encantada. Sí.
Bueno, pues ya, chicos, cuando queráis podéis comenzar a hacer todas vuestras preguntas. Comenzamos por Miguel.
Yeah, I think that almost everyone thinks that a producer just like pays and gets out of there. But like I'm including myself, but what does like the producer actually do?
It's sort of funny that you say that because a good producer never invests their own money, therefore you never put your own money anywhere. So you basically manage it. In my case, being in the States and working for a studio, the money comes from them. So it's not a person that puts the money, it's just the studio, so like a company. So you basically manage it. That's what you do. You find everything and you manage the money and find the talent, work on the script, all those things. So you basically are like you shepherd the movie. That's what you do.
Okay, thank you.
What steps did you take in order to pass from being a student at the Liceo Europeo School of Madrid to becoming a successful producer?
Well, I obviously went to college here. I went to college in Madrid, and then I did a master's in LA in the American Film Institute. And I think that's what really made the difference. Like being there, obviously, and staying there, and also what you have to do is 2 things. You have to adapt to where you are. In my case, going to the States and just being part of that life, but also never forget where you're coming from. So because those things that you learn here you can apply later on. So I think it's very important to do that.
As you suggested before, all the steps you took in order to arrive where you are and achieve what you have achieved, would you suggest to every single person that that process of achieving what you want and your targets and objectives are really necessary in order to have your own success in the future time? Or
well, you know what, I think that there a couple of things are a key, which is like, if you want to do film, I'm just talking about film, I don't know.
Yeah.
So if you want to do film, the key is you have to love film more than anything, because it's a very, very hard job. As I said before, you're working 17 hours a day, so you really have to love what you're doing. Actually, you're not getting paid a lot of money, so you really have to love what you're doing. It's something. It's not enough to love to go to the movies. There's a difference between loving movies and loving just going to the movies. You have to really, really love filmmaking and understand, and also watch a lot of films, which I know a lot of people don't do right now. It's like you have to watch everything, as much as you can, and you have to be able to appreciate everything. Like, I watch every kind of movie, everything I see. It has to be like, from a blockbuster to like indie movie, you have to appreciate what it is. Do I recommend what I did? I think that going to the States it's really interesting, but I do think that film here in Spain and in Europe it's fantastic. So if you can go to the States, working in film here is great. You just have to have a passion for filmmaking, for storytelling, being able to collaborate, which is key. Because if you like to do things on your own, then you should do something else. Because in film you have to work with, like, as I told you before, like 1,300 people. You have to be able to talk to everybody. In my case, the way I did things, would I have done something different? Maybe, simply because, I had that visa issue in the States, so that sort of limited my opportunities. But I do recommend, if you go to the States and you stay there for a year or whatever, do as much as you can. Like, work as hard as you can, learn as much as you can, meet as many people as you can, and then decide what you want to do. But definitely, you need to, your first internship has to be a job. It's not an internship. It's not like, well, I'm not getting paid, I'm not going on Thursdays, but I have Thursdays off. No, you're there on Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Because they have to see you like that you really want it, because there are like 1,000 people like you. So you have to set yourself apart. That's the key.
Which attributes do you think someone will need to become a successful producer?
You have to be good with people. You have to be organized. And it doesn't mean like you have to be organized at home. Like, if you see my room, you would be like, what's wrong here? Like, but you have to be organized at work. You have to know where things are. You also have to be resourceful, and you can never say no. That doesn't mean that you're saying yes all the time. That means that you're not saying no straight away. You can just like say no in other ways. But you have to be resourceful. You have to like think outside the box. Like, if they ask you for something, you say yes, it will get done. And then you go and cry in your car. Never cry in front of people. That's the key. You cry outside always, or go to the bathroom, but never cry in front of people. I've cried so much on Spider-Man, but never in front of anybody. You have to be organized, and you have to project some sort of like that everything's gonna be fine. And then you go and panic, but everything's gonna be fine, because that's what the director needs. The director doesn't need you to be like, no, we can't get that. Nah, you can't get that. It doesn't mean that he's gonna get it, but you can say, well, do you really need it? Or let's find another way. Like, oh, if you want this, we might have to get rid of this. So you have to like negotiate. That's more or less yeah.
Just to actually talk about the industry itself, and like especially what you said before about that, especially my generation has a tendency to watch a lot less movies, especially a lot less of the cultural, classical, such as like old Kubrick films, or like Clockwork Orange, or One Flew Over the
The good thing is that when they watch them, then they realize what they've been missing, and it's great to see somebody that has never seen Kubrick see it for the first time. But yes, go ahead.
And of course, and what I wanted to ask is that looking at what cinema has done from 20th century to the 21st century, I want to know is this a transformation period for cinema? Is it like gonna transform, or are we like, is it the last that we've seen of the great Kubricks and the great?
You know what? The thing that has changed, and it's both great and terrifying, is that now everybody can make a movie, because you can make a movie with your iPhone. Doesn't have to be good, but you can make it. So you can learn. And before it was such a very few people could make a movie. Like it was a very like elitist way of doing things. But now everybody can make a movie. So doesn't mean that everybody has to make a movie, which is what seems to be happening. But the tools are there. So you just have to like know how to use them. And also we are at a time that like there's so many options and so many ways of getting to people that maybe that what you're looking for is like that like precious film. Those films do happen, not as much. The thing is like at those years that Kubrick was making those movies, they were making like 300 other movies that you would never see.
I mean, those are the movies that stick.
Exactly, those are the movies that stick. And I think that those movies will come back, and those movies are being made now. But there's like it's really difficult to like to get them distributed. It's a weird and also because of the piracy that we were talking about. Now studios sometimes they only want to make like the $300 million movie or the indie movie. They don't want to make the middle because they don't really make that much money, because that movie gets pirated and like they don't get the revenue that they wanted to get. So that's why there's like those big gaps in movies.
Especially if you go for if a studio goes for an indie movie, it's mainly for like award
season, yeah,
like
absolutely, yeah.
Sundance to premiere.
Well, sometimes they haven't even made them. They just buy them, so they distribute it, so that they're not part of it. So like somebody has put the money and they make the movie, and then they show it in Sundance, and it gets bought by like I don't know, like Sony Classics or something like that. So that's why.
Okay.
Mismas preguntas.
Do you have any more questions?
Yeah. So I've made like lots of short films, and like my desire to get like where you are is like massive. So what do you actually do? You said you went to LA to do a master, but what is like the action you do to actually work for Hollywood?
Well, what I did, as I mentioned before, was like the internship situation. Like I was when I was done with AFI, and I had a year visa to stay in the States, and I started an internship with Philip Noyce, and I just worked my ass off, if I can say that. I did, and I just like, and so when it was time for him to hire somebody, he hired me. So and then you just have to work so much, and it's what I did in Spider-Man, because I started as like Mark's assistant. You know what I mean? Like, so technically, on paper, I was gonna be bringing him coffee, and I worked so hard that at the end they were able to see that. And I didn't do it to get something. I just did it because I really wanted to take that experience and like make the best out of it. And they saw that, and they were able to like recognize my job and my work there. So, and that's what you have to do. You have like, if you really, really, really want it, you have to work so hard. Because again, and even now in your generation, it's even worse or better. Like everybody thinks that they can make movies. But again, you have to think about it, it's like, is that what you want to do with your life? Because there's a lot of times that you're not going to have work. There's a lot of times that you're going to get criticized. There's a lot of times that things are going to be hard, and you're going to be tired. It's like you have to do it because you love it more than anything. Mm-hmm. So I love movies more than anything. Anything. Maybe my husband and daughter, but fine. But like I really, really, really love film. Like I really, and I've watched a lot of film, and I know a lot of film. Like it's like people joke on set, like they ask a question, I know the director, like, but fine. I like it so much.
Okay, thanks.
Did you always know that you wanted to become a film producer?
Yes, you can ask here in school. I didn't, you know what, actually, take that back, because I think I wanted to direct, because I didn't know that you could be a producer. You know what I mean? Like, because when you're not part of the film business, you just see the director. That's what you see. You know that there's like a whole team of people behind, and I realized that, and I was like, I don't really want to direct. I want to produce. That's more suited for me. So you know what? I don't think I would be able to take criticism that well. I will be judging, I will like questioning myself all the time. And if you want to be a director, you can't do that. Or you can question yourself, but because you want to question yourself, not because of what other people would say.
So, related to my partner's question, we must all say that you've done a great job, obviously. But I think, Hollywood is such a complicated world, but in so many different ways. And sometimes I believe that we do fail. We're humans, and sometimes things don't go as they're supposed to or the way you want it to. So, do you how would you define working in that world, or are you afraid of failing or making something wrong?
Oh my God, every day. Seriously. And that might be also me, because I want everything to be perfect. I get very, very anxious that everything has to be perfect. And in a job like mine, you just have to plan ahead. You have to be thinking next week or what everything is being organized. There's sometimes that I haven't slept all night just because something was going to happen the next day. But that's just me. There are people that are much better at that. I just want everything to be perfect. And I just I set a level for myself that sometimes gets me in trouble, I'm not going to lie, because other people they're not the same way. And they don't you're not saving lives. Absolutely. But I decided this is my saving lives thing. Therefore, I'm going to do it as much, as better, as best I can, basically. That's what I mean. So you have to, when I was stuck in a job that I didn't love, because I couldn't get another job because of my visa situation, that was very frustrating. But I was well, I'm going to make the best out of this. And then things happen, and I was able to get another job that I really enjoy. But the whole thing is that you have to you have to be terrified 24/7, but you have to also enjoy it. I don't know if you have to find that sort of balance of but I'm terrified 24/7. That's
So you take it more as part of your job, or sometimes you drive it to your personal.
Well, the thing is that my husband is a cinematographer, so he also works in film. And as we always joke in film business, you married a civilian. I didn't, but if somebody marries a doctor, it's you married a civilian, meaning somebody doesn't work in the film business. I don't know how that works, because again, you're when we were shooting this movie, we were in New York. My husband moved with me. We both moved from LA, and I was gone for 17, 20 hours a day. So what I mean. And in the on weekends. You don't really have weekends. You're working. I'm always on my phone. I'm always answering emails. You're always thinking, and it's really difficult to separate. That life, but also because he's in film, it's easier to talk about that. Yes, but I do bring it home a lot. Yeah, because I'm also working a lot.
Yes.
So
yeah.
What would you think a film needs to have to be considered a good film and good cinema, and just not so successful?
What I think, this is my own personal view, is I have to enjoy it so much. Sometimes it doesn't mean that it's perfect. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be master acting, master directing, master everything. Sometimes you just have to really, really enjoy it and feel real. This is a horrible example, but I'm gonna go for it. Have you seen the movie Pitch Perfect?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen it 100 times. I don't know why. Every time it's on TV, I watch it. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. That's a lot of flaws. But it makes me want to watch it every time it's on, because it's done with what I feel. It's heart, and that's what you need. You need to see a movie it shares something with you. You see other movies that are brilliant, everything's brilliant about it, but it's so cold that you're okay, well, I'm not moved by this. You have to be moved by it. And I'm not saying that Pitch Perfect I'm moved by it. I'm just saying I really enjoy it, so it makes me happy. That's what you have to be happy with the films that you're watching. Yeah. There's another 12 Years a Slave. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Okay. It's a fantastic film. Am I gonna see it again? No. Never again in my life. Why? Because it's and it's happened to me with every one of Steve McQueen movies, which I feel he's fantastic director, but I will never see his films again because they're so draining, they're so well done, and there's so much heart and stuff like that, but I can't watch them again. If I just don't feel go out of my way to watch them. So you just see something that you want to be passionate about, I think.
No, well, sort of expanding on that, I wanted to ask that, especially because I notice it a lot too when I do a short movie or something, and I can spend 8 hours editing something, but at the same time, at the end of editing that, you feel that it's not good enough, but at the same, you like it and you don't, and it's that continuous feeling of not knowing,
Yeah.
kind of, and it's just having to have that strength to actually just believe in yourself and pull it out. So that's what I wanted to kind of ask, like, in all those like times of struggle, especially because cinema is one of the most difficult careers, or especially I find it completely exhausting, but at the same time so fulfilling. So I wanted to like ask what like tips kind of would you give to kind of hold on into reality?
You have to find people you trust. That's key. You have to have people that when they say, that's stupid, you know that's stupid. Because you already knew that was not right, but you win with it. No, you have to have people you trust. And that's where, like, in the big sense, like when producers come along, it doesn't mean that you have to trust their opinion. You trust that they're saying what they're saying in their best interest. You know what I mean? You don't have to agree with it, but you have to listen. You have to listen. Filmmaking is, you have to collaborate. It's like a team effort. You can't do it by yourself. You think you can but you have to have so many people helping you out to make your vision. And you have to do, and there's something that Mark does amazingly, which is you have to engage people. You have to get people so pumped to help out. Like, you know what? I'm gonna work 17 hours a day because I really like what this guy wants to do. You know what I mean? And that's really difficult. That's why usually they call directors tyrants, because they don't listen. But the good directors, the ones that are really successful, I think they listen to other people. They listen to their actors. They listen to the screenwriters. They listen to the production designers. Even Kubrick, which I'm sure you love, listened to other people. He had a fantastic wife and a fantastic home life that really, talked to him.
This, kind of
he had these collaborators,
Kubrick,
but yeah.
From The Shining with.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You have to listen to other people because you're not always right.
To try to transmit.
Yeah, but you have to
right?
get people excited, because you don't want to go to work for somebody that it's an idiot. You don't. You want to work with somebody that really wants to get the best out of you, and you want to be excited about it. Even if it's we're making Spider-Man or you're making an indie movie, you just have to be excited.
Well, adding to his question, what advice would you give to people our age, young students, who wish to work someday in Hollywood? If you are a film director, producer, actor?
First, and you're all fine on that, but you need to speak the language. Okay, that's key, and that's something that when I went to the States I already did, so it's easier. But you have to, and you have to, and we tend, as Spaniards, we tend to do that, which is they don't do that like that in Spain. Yeah, but you're in LA, so you have to do it their way. Doesn't mean that you're forgetting how you do it here. You just have to you have to adapt. That's a key thing. So I remember some Spanish producers were in LA and it's that's the American way. It's seems to be working for them. So I don't know what to say. So you have to do that. Also, you have to work really hard and set yourself apart. Find something that you're good at, and that's what people will remember about you. You know what I mean? I don't know. You have to work really hard. Obviously, that's key. And you cannot be lazy. You can't be lazy, because again, there's 100 people like you.
So back to what you said about leadership and having that charisma in order to be able to work in a good mood and with a lot of people. I would like to do something that involves that sort of thing in my future life. So how would you describe the experience of working with 100 people, and sometimes they put you in your nerves and you can't stand them and you want to shout and you don't want to work. Not that you don't want to work in a team, but that you feel that you would do it better on yourself because you're better.
And that's my problem also. And I'm very open about it. I know how to do things, so if somebody's going to take 100 hours to do it, I'd rather do it myself. But you need to learn how to delegate, which is very difficult. But you also need to you're not always going to get the people you want to get. I'm not very confrontational, but I'm very respectful of my job and what it entails. Therefore, when something's not done right, I'm going to let you know. What is right? Is that what I think it's right? Or it's like, well, what works? That's what's right, what works. So if it works this way and doesn't need to be changed, don't change it. You just have to, you can't lose your temper all the time. You can lose it at home. You know what I mean? And that's what I was saying about crying. Just go cry somewhere else. Or go cry with your friends. Or like, in my case, like after a frustrating day of like, you know, like there are idiots everywhere. You have to go with that. Like there are people that are not, they're not gonna be you, and they're not gonna, and like just try to, I mean, torture your boyfriend, your friend, your whatever. I'm sorry, when you go home and you talk to them about it. Try to find ways to work with those people. Have I made mistakes? Absolutely. I had a couple of people that didn't work well with, and I didn't know how to handle it first, and then I decided to handle it different ways, and then forget about my own personal well-being in a way, to like for the good of the job. But you have to know that listen. You have to listen to make sure that you're not being you're not being the idiot. Just key.
Yes.
Like I'm like, oh my god, I want to do this way, and then you realize like, oh my god, I've been doing it wrong. But you also have to stand on your ground. It's like, you know what, this is how it's gonna be, and it's something that that you need to learn, that you won't know until you've experienced it, and you're like, oh, that's where I should have cut this right there. So nip it in the butt.
So
and you don't.
Now that you have achieved that and you're
No.
there on the top.
I have not. Because I have bosses, so that's but I know where you're going. It's like, you mean like, how do I do that, or how do I?
Or how would you like separate apart and start your own business or company now that you have?
You know what, I like working with directors so much that I would love to continue doing that. I'm also, I want to get to one more level before, because you know, I want to get like a full producer credit, which is a really important thing before I do something on my own. And I also I don't feel, and that's another thing that you were saying about like what advice to young people. You don't know anything. I don't know anything. You have to learn a lot. So like, because I've seen a lot of people older than you now, but that come to LA and they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to. I want to like. You're not going to get to LA and Spielberg is going to call you to direct a movie. That's not going to happen. And if it happens, happen once. And you know what? It's not going to happen. So you have to come from the place of like, I'm going to have to work and I don't know anything. And you have to learn all the time and listen to people. There's some things that you will know about, but then you have to learn. And you have to just be a little humble, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's really frustrating. I know what you mean. It's really frustrating. So. And also, there was a while that I was dealing with like security in the film, like you don't want things to leak out and stuff like that. And I don't know if you can curse here or not, but I'm gonna go for it. But some people were saying that I was like a security bitch. Okay? And I you know what, I took it really. I went home. I was really upset about it. And then my husband said, Amy Pascal, which is the head of Sony.
Yeah.
She's a woman, obviously, and I was like crying, and I was like, oh, they call me security bitch, blah blah blah, and my husband is like, how many times a day do you think somebody calls a Pascal a bitch? And I was like, probably a lot. They shouldn't, but they definitely do. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna be upset about it. If they want to call me that, that's their fault. That's their problem. They're so not evolved that they're gonna call me that. Let's go. Let's do that. Fine. So since then, if you want to call me whatever, you're gonna call. I can do anything about it.
So you gotta be confident.
Yes, you gotta be confident about it. Yes.
I mean, like when we are all young, all girls wanted sometimes to be an actress or something and work in Hollywood and be famous, and we all think like it's so glamorous work, but is working in Hollywood as glamorous as it seems?
No, and it's a job. That's the problem. It's like what you see here is like basically the people walking the red carpet. That's a job too. You know, like when I was telling that I did the first tour around the world, that was tiring. Yeah, did I get to go to Russia and Japan? Absolutely. And I didn't have to do interviews. But like Andrew and Emma had to do interviews every day. That's a job. You have to be acting. You have to be doing your job 24/7, and that's really important. And so it's a glamorous. Of course, it's a glamorous part. Like, yeah, you're like, you know, in Japan, being whatever on a private jet. Great, yeah. But you're there because you're doing a job. You're not there because, like, you know,
Enjoying yourself.
yeah. And that's the difference. Like, I think people go there and it's like, oh, yeah, no, you have to work. You actually have to go to set. Have to work for 17 hours. Have to be, you know, you don't get to be where these people are by being just like, you know, because that's what happens to other people that you will never see again. They're famous for like 2 seasons of like something, and then you never see them again. But they thought it was like all partying, and that's it, and it's not.
¿Tienes más preguntas?
Yeah, sure. Look, while making any type of movie, what I wanted to ask is, in my view, of course, like amateur view that I saw, is that maybe in some occasions it's better to have lesser actors, as in less famous, just due to how maybe they would receive some of the commentary or you say, but at the same time,
If it's a good actor,
he'll do
he
the
will
same,
he will
right?
do the same. It doesn't matter. That's what the difference is.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, like, how like deep does like some superiority of some actors get?
Well, if they're not good, if they're just like famous, like, you know, nobody gets to be famous or be a big actor by doing it by themselves. You know, they listen to the director, they've listened to people, and they're doing their job. So if you're not going to listen to the director, then you're not going to be good in a movie. You know what I mean? Like, because if you think about it, the director has the power. They can cut you out of a film. They can cut you out. And editing is like, I don't like this. Out. And all of a sudden, the role that you thought it was going to be your big break, you're in like 2 seconds by passing, and you're like, what's that? So you have to be, you know, it all depends on obviously the actor, but you just have to choose the right person to work with. That's really important, that you might not know. And that's something that in a completely different level I learned in my thesis film. When we did at AFI, the first year we did 3 films, and then the second year we only did 1. And I worked with the same director a couple of times, and one of the things that we agreed was when we were casting our thesis, is like, besides casting the best actor, we're gonna cast a person that is a normal person. Because I don't want like some person like yell, and sometimes they're so talented, you put up with that, absolutely. You're like, okay, well, at the end of the day we get, but if you're at that level, at like a short film level, why are you gonna be somebody that's yelling at you? You're nobody. I'm nobody, but you're nobody. So like, let's just all calm down a little bit. That's like the whole thing. It's like, you need to calm down. So that's what I would say.
Bueno, Beatriz, como ves, están encantados.
Sí,
Estarían aquí
también.
toda la mañana haciéndote preguntas. La verdad es que entiendo que es un mundo y una profesión que atrae mucho. Yo me he quedado, por lo que os he oído, con un resumen, y es que la clave de tu éxito es el trabajo y el trabajo.
Y yo no diría que tengo éxito, yo creo que estoy trabajando, que es lo fundamental. Que
Pero
en este momento se puede considerar éxito.
Me ha gustado lo que has dicho, pero claro, también entiendo que no en todos los países funciona igual. En los Estados Unidos sí que si empiezas sirviendo un café, pues puedes acabar siendo presidente incluso.
Sí.
A lo mejor en otros países, por eso lo llaman el país de las oportunidades, a lo mejor no es un mito.
Pero yo creo que es una profesión en la que empiezas desde abajo y tienes que aprender. Porque hay gente que empieza desde el medio y no siempre llega arriba. Hay gente que empieza desde arriba dando un pelotazo con algo y luego no sigue en esa línea.
Claro, te gusta y lo vas viendo desde abajo todo.
Sí.
Bueno, pues ya última pregunta, ya te dejamos, ya que nos has comentado que has sido compañera de clase de nuestro director Gonzalo Inclán. Pues si nos podrías contar cómo era como alumno, algún detalle, alguna...
Es que
ahora que no nos oye nadie.
Me gustaba muchísimo el fútbol, no sé si le sigue gustando mucho el fútbol.
Sí.
Me gustaba muchísimo el fútbol. Y luego aparte, ¿qué más? Es que no me acuerdo. La verdad es que siempre hemos sido amigos. Es decir, que no sé ahora cómo son de grandes las clases, pero en nuestra época eran 30 y 30, o sea, A y B eran 30 y 30. Y entonces estabas con la misma gente siempre. Y es esas cosas que ahora, gracias a Facebook, los puedes seguir un poco qué están haciendo con su vida y tal y cual. pero eso que te reúnes una vez al año y no es como si no hubiera pasado el tiempo, ¿no? Porque has pasado tanto tiempo juntos, pero vamos, o sea, que me encanta que esté ahora de director del colegio. Me parece un círculo estupendo. O sea que...
Volvemos a lo mismo, trabajo y trabajo.
Sí.
Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias, Beatriz, por tu presencia aquí.
A vosotros.
Y gracias a los alumnos por haber colaborado con nosotros.
A vosotros.
Gracias.